the reform that happened before Christmas. This is to look specifically at the digital sector reform. And before we go any further, I must say that this relates to post-16 only, and this relates to the digital sector. The announcements that were made before Christmas regarding any reform, any extensions, were very sector-based. So anything that I talk to today about the digital sector for the IT and computing qualifications is relevant to IT and computing, and only IT and computing. Other sectors have slightly different things going on. So if you're going to update colleagues based upon this, you need to make sure that you're clear that this is IT only. And I'm sorry that I'm saying that many, many times, but everything was very sector-based before Christmas, and each sector has very different changes given the announcement that happened. And we still have people joining, so just bear with us. Right, so with that being said, and just for those that are joining late, with that being said, this is for reform, this is post-16, this is England only, and this is digital. Other sectors are different. What we're going to go through today is the context of those reforms, the outcome of the rapid review and what that is. We're then going to go through a funding list and what that means and what that looks like. Okay, then we're going to go through some things about planning your curriculum as a result of what's happened. And then we're going to go through resources and support for AAQs, level 2s, and next steps. And I will apologize way in advance for this. I will not have every answer for every question you have to ask because we don't have them yet. In a couple of very specific things, we are still waiting for some of this information, and I'll try and signpost that as we go through. Okay, I apologize in advance, but we're still waiting for some of the information ourselves. Okay, right. So, but I'll try and be as informative as possible. So the context. Now, as we know, we were going through a reform timeline, and this reform took several stages where there was a new policy announced in 2021, criteria to develop new qualifications came in 2022, 2023 started the work on AAQs and other qualifications. These were submitted in 2024 and cycle 2 started. The general election happened in 2024 and the pause and review happened post that election to look at the funding and to look at the options on the table. So we had these cycle 1 qualifications, which digital was part of, which we submitted in 2023, which included the 360 GLH AAQs in IT and computing, and the 2024 were other subjects that was paused, okay? But those subjects in 2023 will go ahead. And I'll explain a little bit, as much as I can, about what that means. Okay, just bear with me. So, the rapid review took place after the general election, and they wanted to look at the qualifications and see what qualifications overlap with the T level. When the rapid review looked at those qualifications, they looked at all the qualifications that were in cycle 1, okay? And that included the ones that were funded and not funded, and they came up with some solutions for teaching. Now, as we know, before that happened, okay, the BTECs that you currently teach were all due to finish their teaching for registrations in July of this year, okay? And spoilers, the majority of those qualifications were extended as a result, but they were only extended a year. And we'll go through a little bit about what that means to everyone in a second, okay? So the outcomes, and I kind of said this already, okay? The AAQs and technical qualifications in cycle 1 will continue to be first teach September 2025. Now, that means that the AAQ 360 GLH in IT and the AAQ 360 GLH in computing, plus the technical qualification in cybersecurity for the 19+ learners will be taught from 2025, okay? This September. But all the RQF nationals that overlap with that will remain defunded. In other words, if you're teaching a 360 GLH qualification from September, the AAQ, the larger sizes have been extended, and we'll go through what that looks like for our sector on the next slide. Okay, here's the key bit. The rules of combination for a study program were removed, so you can now choose a study program that is right for your learners, and I'll go on to that on subsequent slides. Every sector, as I've already said, is separate. So this is for digital only, and other sectors will have different rules. So, any questions on this in the chat? Yeah. But what this means is that the AAQs go forward, the 360s are being removed, the larger sizes largely will go ahead, but you don't have to stick with one AAQ in your program of study. Okay, headlines. Let's go on to what this actually looks like on the next slide. So on the next slide, we have a funding list for digital. And this funding list, again, it has, as you can see, the AAQs, which are in bold, coming in from 2025 First Teach, okay? And those are the AAQs in IT and computing. I will again, and I'm pains to say some of this because some of it, you know, some of it hasn't changed, and some of you may be only hearing this first time. Those AAQs are 360 size only at the moment. We do have 180 sizes, and I'll come back to that in a little while. But at the moment, that's all that's on the books for 2025-26. And then for the other qualifications, yeah, those qualifications will continue in the larger sizes. And then you'll see on here what larger sizes means. It's not quite what it means, yeah, for the First Teach 25-26 for one additional year. And when they say larger sizes, for digital, and again, I'm at pains of saying this, digital, they're talking about the 720 and the 1080 GLH qualifications only. They're not talking about the 540s. So you can start learners on the 1080 extended diploma for next September, for this September, and the 720 national diploma in IT and computing. You can continue as you are now for one more year. There's one at the bottom, which is the competence for IT telecoms professionals, which goes on regardless, but for the rest of them, they are not funded. Okay, so this is it is quite a complex landscape you've got in front of you, and if you don't, if you're struggling to understand what the reasoning or anything behind it, I don't have that, but that's what the rules are. Okay, this, as we'll look at on subsequent slides, gives you some challenges with regards to your learners for the next 2 years, and I'll go on to what that means in a second. Okay, so any questions, put it in the chat, and I'll try and answer as I go through. My colleague Tim Brady is here in the background, and he can probably answer in the chat as well. So I hope that makes the funding point clear. And again, at pains to say, England only, post-16 only. Okay, right, let's move on. So when it comes to curriculum planning, it's important you consider all of this because of top-ups or drop-downs. So learners registered in 24, 25, and 180 GLH program intended to top up to 360 isn't funded in 2025-26. So you're going to have to do your top-ups fairly quickly. In other words, in this academic year, you can't leave it till September. And the cut-off for funding is the 31st of July from memory. So therefore, you probably need to do it before you go away from the summer. In 25-26, centres who traditionally register on 360 GLH and top up year 2, you've got to think about that because you can't necessarily, you can't top up. You can't go from a 360 AAQ up to a 720 old BTEC. So you've got to think about how that means, okay? And I'll try and answer some of the questions in the chat in a second. Let me get through the slides. So if you have a program which has that top up or drop down, you're going to have to make those decisions fairly quickly, and you're probably going to have to stay where you are, okay? here we go. But you can choose your study program. And I'm going to put caveats around this for you, okay? There are no rules. So you could have 3 AAQs in your study program. I am not suggesting that's a good idea, and I'll come on to why in a second. You could have an AAQ in computing, an A-level maths, an AAQ in engineering. That would be a suitable program of study. You could have an AAQ in IT, a 540 diploma in creative music practice, or an A-level in art. Or you could have an AAQ in computing, extended certificate business, or an extended certificate in esports, or any manner of qualifications. It is now up to you. So if you take one thing from this, those rules about those AAQs and only being able to have one AAQ have gone, okay? But what we recommend is exploring the progression pathway your students commonly take. Speak to the HE partners that they commonly go to. Because if those HE partners will only accept one AAQ as part of that program study, realistically, you should think nothing has changed. Do not set your learners up to fail. If your HE destinations of choice or whatever destinations of choice have a program which has a slightly different makeup, have it designed that way. I think you've really got to think about your learners and their outcomes here. Okay, I'm going to stop and answer some questions in the chat because it's a good point to do so. And hopefully we'll get them answered. But I know that in the background, Tim is doing a very good job. Yeah, I think, Ian, I've answered your question, so I don't need to answer that. We're doing extended cert now and topping up to diploma from September. Does that mean we need to register before July? Absolutely, 100%. Get them registered before they go for summer holidays. Hope that's been clear. Right. Okay, there was an original list with AAQ and games. Has that been scrapped? Okay, I'll come on to that in a minute. Okay, because that's a very good question, and I will go on to that in a second. Can you choose only one AAQ? No, you can choose as many AAQs you want, but you've got to make it right for your learners. I think I've covered that one. Extended certificate can be taught 25 to 27. Absolutely right, Emma. You've got that 100% right. I was told I could plan for a study program 2 AQs or AQ computer. Is that the right advice? If it's right for your learners, it's right for your learners. Think about your learners. If the universities of choice or wherever they're going to go will not accept 2 AAQs, 2 vocational qualifications, it's not right for your learners. Look at your progression pathways. I can teach BTEC essentially September 25. Yes, you can. We're happy about that. And what is the approval process for AAQs? It's automatic. Okay. Right. I think we've answered all the questions. I think we've probably got there. Okay. There's one question I didn't answer, and I'll come on to it in a second. Okay. So here we go. There is some guidance on transferring learners. You will get these slides and you will see what it is. Okay. The extended certificate will be funded 2025-27. The old extended certificate will not be funded 25-27. Okay, let's be clear. So that has been removed. We are working on a 180 version of this. I'll come back to that in a minute because it's one of these are some of the questions where I cannot answer yet because we don't quite know. Okay. So you'll see on the screen, I'm not going to repeat it. It's got all the information about top ups and top downs and transferring a learner and all the rest of it. Okay. Nothing has changed here. I'm not going to read this out verbatim. You'll get this slide with the information on. I hope that helps, okay? But what I would say is, if you are a centre that does your top-ups in September or moves people up and down for in year 2, you need to be doing that as your exit point for this academic year. That is my strong advice to you, because you will not be able to do it after July, okay? I hope this helps. Right, before I go into qualification structure comparison, we're not going to go into lots of detail about the AAQs because there's so many questions that come up, okay? I'm going to just be clear about the one bit of the announcement which we are not clear about, which will answer some of the questions that are probably going on, and also about when we will know and what that will look like, and I'll probably say I don't know for some of that. As part of the announcement, there was also a part where AOs will be allowed to submit new qualifications in spring 2025. We do not know much about that submission of qualifications and when they start, what they look like, what size they are, but we do know digital is within that. Our plan has always been to submit a 180 in computing and IT in the next window. Nothing has changed. We will be looking to do that. And we will also be looking to submit technicals for 19 plus learners. Over and above that, we will look at what the rules are when they come out. And I believe there'll be a meeting next week where we can look at that and we can get the information from the DFE. We do not have it yet. And then we will look at what we can provide. I cannot, at this point, answer any questions because I just don't know about the size or shape of what those qualifications will be that need to be submitted in spring 2025. Okay? So I hope that helps a little bit with where we are. With regards to, and it's really useful to mention this bit because I've seen the question in the chat about the AAQ in computer games. With regards to other subjects, and computer games sits within those other subjects, everything has been paused that wasn't in cycle 1. So media, computer games, and all of those subjects were in that area. And they will be paused until the curriculum review comes out later this year. And at that point of the curriculum review coming out later this year, decisions will be made about what can be submitted for each sector. Okay. So if you currently, and I know some of you probably are, teaching qualifications in games or media or things like that that are in cycle 2 onwards, those qualifications have had their funding extended till 2027, and that means that you can teach with confidence for 2 extra years. For digital, it's 1 extra year at the moment. Okay. I hope that helped. So I've got a couple of questions. Jack, can you just do the level 3 AAQ in IT? Yes, you can. It's a 360, so it's worth 1 A level. You cannot top up until a certificate has been awarded. If certificates do, the guidance is on there. So that means a transfer. Yes, you're right. When I'm using the word top up, it's more a transfer. And Tim is probably wrapping my knuckles behind the scenes because I'm using those terms. There we go. Apologies. Right. So if you've not seen it before, I'll quickly go through what's going to be looking like the 360 and the 180 versions of these. The 360 have been approved for first teach 2025, the 180 isn't. Okay, so we have 2 qualifications. One is the IT qualification. On the right is a new academic qualification, the alternative academic qualification as they're called, but it's still a BTEC, with 2 external units, the information technology systems and cybersecurity and digital and incident management. These are exams with 2 units alongside that in website development and relational database development. The 180 version of this will be submitted as soon as we get a window, and that will have the information technology systems as the core unit and website development as the internal additional unit. So that will be for what replaces what's on the left. Obviously, the larger sizes have more units, but I've just used the extended certificate on here as a point of comparison. Okay. What we've tried to do with these qualifications, and if you've heard me say this before, apologies, but we've tried to keep the units as similar as possible. Everything is an exam. If it's an external assessment, there are no large project-based assessments. Okay, let's move on. The computing follows the same kind of thing. Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. That last slide, Unit 2, should have said external.
Okay, apologies. It should have been external. My fault. What's that? Yeah, on the old version, it's external. Correct.
Yeah.
Well done, Tim. I knew there was something.
There'll be another one here as well, won't there?
Yeah, fundamental computer systems. Well pointed out. Yeah. Okay. Ian, I'm going to answer your question in a second when I get through this slide. Okay. So here we've got the AAQ in computing with programming fundamentals, computer network security and encryption, HCI and practical programming, and the 180 version of that will have programming fundamentals and a choice between HCI and practical programming. Again, we're trying to keep the units the same. Again, unit 2 is incorrectly put as an internal where it's an external. Okay. Ian, in answer to your question, we do not know when the window is going to open. We have been told spring, or more helpfully than that, a civil servant spring. I don't know what the difference is. So we will be advised next week, hopefully. I understand other providers, other AOs have a 180 available. We will have a 180 available. There's no doubt about it. And so if that's the big decision point, we will have a 180 available when that opens up. Okay. But we are looking wider than just a 180 here and looking at what else can happen. As soon as we know, we'll start talking to people and make them aware of the different of what we will be submitting. But again, as I've said right at the beginning, there is a part of this we don't know, and that's the mission part we just don't know. Okay, so the key similarities and differences between what we've got now. Some of you have heard this before. The AAQs have no options within them, but they're very similar units. We have the same pass merit distinction. We have the same standards verification process. We have something slightly different within the internal units, where we have changed the way that you're either using AAB or your own assignment briefs to using a Pearson set assignment brief. So you get given the brief, which changes year on year. And what we will say is we try to keep the number of assessment points down so that actually you can focus on teaching and learning. The transition guides from the existing BTECs to the AAQs are already on our website. You'll find a link when you get there. Okay. Right. And Tim, if I've missed anything out, gone too fast, or just glossed over anything, just stop me, okay?
You're doing a great job.
That's the first time you've ever said that, Tim. Thank you. Okay, let's go through results. So our training offer, and some of this is already live for you to sign up to. We have Getting Ready to Teach, Getting Ready for Internal Assessment. We have some bite-sized videos coming out. Those will come out in spring term. In fact, some of those are already available for you to sign up to, particularly the live and on-demand training. The summer term, Getting Ready to Teach, transitioning workshops, all those kind of things will be coming out as we go through it. There is a link to the training from Pearson. You'll be able to sign up. You will get access to everything you get access to right now, including Exam Wizard, Results Plus, subject advisors. Tim is on the call. If you don't know Tim, he is our subject advisor. And if you need to email him, it's teachingict@pearson.com, which is on the back end of the slides. You'll get access to scripts, learning support, and delivering BTEC. Okay, and I'll go back to questions in a second. There is a comprehensive package of paid resources alongside that. Our samples for those paid resources, which are going to in a slight moment, will start to become available early next month, and then the publication date is in May. So those are those textbooks we're talking about. So what you'll get for every single qualification and for every single unit is a student book, an ebook, and a teacher pack as part of those. And you can sign up to as much or as little as that as you want. Planning and delivery guides will be available in March, and we will have those published paid for resources available in May, the full materials with samples in February. I'm trying to be as well. I'm hopeful they'll get out before then, but let's just see. Yeah. Transition guides are already available on our website. There's links on the previous slide. Transferable skills and preparing learners for their future are already available guides, which are available on the website. And as you will see, for each of the AAQs, there are ways to plan and teach sessions, and there are 3 for each of the AAQs already available for you to sign up to. The first of them start in just a few weeks, on the 7th or 14th of March. February, depending on which one you are. Then we've got some in March, and then we've got some in May, not the 35th month, as that one says, but it's in May. Okay, so that ends level 3. I'm going to stop at this point to answer questions in the chat, and just if you've got questions, please put them in. Okay, Given the exams fall at the start and end of the year, is this relative weight of the modules next year 100? Yeah, yes, it is. I think it's going to be difficult to plan a 2-year delivery for this. Yeah, okay, so there's 120, 60. We will work with you on that, and we've got those sessions on getting ready to plan your qualification where we'll go through that with you. Okay, we felt that kind of makeup of the 120 and the 60s works. Feedback is useful for any subsequent submission we make. We're considering looking at creative media diploma 2A version digital games development. I'm assuming that'd be a valid option too. So yes, it would be the 2A AQ version of that, but obviously if that is the AAQ, that is currently on hold. The existing creative digital media diploma is working until 2027. I hope that makes sense. When will the first opportunity for students to sit each of the external exams? There will be external exams available in 2026. I realise it's not something you change, but if AAQs are the way things are going, they are very descriptive. With optional units, we can tailor. I completely understand what you're saying, Catherine. It will be something we'll look at for any submission we make in this spring window. I hope that answers that question. Samantha, how long will these qualifications be able to teach for? Is this just a stopgap for a couple of years, or is it here for longer? My understanding is the AAQs will be here for longer, but we await the outcomes of the curriculum review, and I cannot crystal ball that, unfortunately, if that makes sense. Okay, I hope I've answered all those questions. Tim, tell me if I haven't. Okay, as some of you are aware, also underneath this, for any of you who teach level 2 BTEC, there was a level 2 reform going on whilst all of this was going on, and we were in the busy process of writing new level 2 qualifications. I will now go through where we are with that. So, as it stood, digital was in cycle 2 for first teach September 2026. All of those cycle 2 level 2 reforms have been paused, and they will be paused until the outcome of the curriculum review. What this means is that the current digital qualifications, and again, I'm at pains to say this because I'll get asked, these are post-16 only. Yeah, there's more going on later about level 3, so just bear with it. But I'm pains to say this is post-16 only. The digital qualifications will then be extended to 2027. Okay, so our current BTEC first will be extended to 2027, as well as the technicals. I know at least one of you on the call, I've seen your name, and I'm in the middle of responding to your email. 2027 is the answer to the question about the digital technicals. So what we've got is our post-16 offer, and I have put in the Tech Award in Digital Information Technology just to complete this for 14-16. And the reason I put it in is just that I am mentioning it, and I'm just saying it's not part of this. It's only there because it's part of our offering. It is unaffected by anything that's going on. BTEC First Information Technology, Technical Diploma in Digital Technology, and Technical Certificate in IT Support have all been put forward till 2027. Okay, right. So the useful links on this sheet, on this deck, when you get it, you'll have a link to our level 3 funding guide. Okay, and also our level 3 reforms page. Okay, the outcome of the qualifications review will also be on there from the DFE links. Qualifications have had their funding extended. Okay, and I'll be really clear. Okay, and I'm going to say this, and I get emails and questions about this all the time. Okay, people go away from these meetings and they then go and look at the funding website, the LARS, and they'll turn around and say, but nothing's updated, so this isn't happening. The LARS gets updated once a year in April, and it will be updated with the output of the quick review. Yeah, it won't be updated to that point. This is happening, okay? But the LARS will not be updated. Okay, we have an FAQs from the DFE and qualification reform. Okay. So your next steps. So DFE have paused cycle 2 submission for level 2 and 3. The submission of these qualifications happen later in 2025. DfE will open that new cycle 2 for additional titles in health and HSC, health and social care, applied science, construction, and more importantly, digital. Now, all other sectors and qualifications that need to be retained long-term will be reformed and informed by the curriculum and assessment review, and we expect to know more later this year, autumn. Okay, so anything else fits into this bucket here. Okay. So I'm going to hand it over to Q&A. I'm happy to answer questions. Put them in the chat, please. And we'll take it from there. I hope, with a lack of clarity on some points, I've been as clear as I can be. This is your chance to ask questions. Tim, whilst people think about what they want to ask, is there anything I've missed? Is there anything I've glossed over too much? Or is there anything you just want to add to what I've said, apart from, sorry, everything's changing once again?
Honestly, think it might be sensible to just, you covered everything brilliantly, incredibly quickly, though. There's going to be still some confusions over when the registrations for the AAQs, so any students starting a program September 25, if they're doing 360, it has to be an AAQ.
Yeah.
If they've already been registered on the previous BTEC Nationals, they can continue to the end of their program, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was the only thing. It was just very, very quick. I'm hoping, I saw some questions come up in the chat, and I'm not sure that in the speed of answering, we got it all completely correct, because it's slightly worrying. Like, for example, one, Ian Marshall asked, you cannot top up until certificate have been awarded. So, I mean, the details of that and the dates definitely are confusing. I messaged to him that it's probably best in this situation to consider registering for the larger size possible, because dropping down is always going to be less risky, right?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. We've got some questions.
That's not a revenue generating ploy.
No, I know it's not. It's not about revenue. It's taking care of the students. That's all we care about.
Where do the AAQs sit in the performance measures at level 3? So they'll have the same UCAS points, right, as the outgoing BTEC Nationals extended certificate, from what I understand.
Yes, and they're treated as an extended certificate.
And they have the same grading, D star, D, M, P.
Yeah. Stuart asked the $64 million question of, does this mean the end of larger qual sizes? We just don't know. We're waiting to see that.
Well, the extension is for 1 year only at the moment, so we have to be clear on that, right?
The extension is 1 year only. We do not know the size or shape of what's going to be submitted in this spring submission. So that makes sense. Ranveer has turned up late and says, so the BTEC level 3 is not changing. No, it's been extended for a year whilst we're waiting for curriculum review and for the extension of qualifications. So you can teach the BTECs apart from the 540 and 360 and 180 sizes from September next year, just as you have any other year. Okay. Okay. Hang on. There's still people joining the call. Can I just check something? We have some students that will be leaving without completing extended certificates, so we need to drop down in July as they're not continuing. I hope that's clearly worded. So
that
yes.
should be fine, right?
Yeah, that should be fine. Yes. Do you have any suggestions for 540 quals going forwards? We currently offer the foundation diploma in year 1 and extended diploma top up in year 2. The 540 does seem to be something that's a bit of a anomaly in here. We are talking to DfE about that. We're in the same boat as everyone else with the 540s. We will wait and see what the size and shape of any qualification that we can submit is. I don't have an answer for that because everyone's 540 has been removed.
The question there, level 3 foundation diploma for 25-26. No, you can't. You're saying enroll. We have to use the word register. It has to be for the diploma or extended diploma, 25, 26.
Yeah.
I hope, Francis, I hope that's clear.
Yeah. Okay. Ian King's asked a specific question, but actually it's not as specific as you think, Ian, because lots of people do what you're saying. We teach year 12 and 13, same class due to lack of staff. This is not uncommon, actually, is it, Tim?
Oh, no, no.
Will we be able to add our new year 12 to the class with them, taking the information form, or do you think, of course,
Well,
I don't think that the units are particularly, those particular units, I don't think there's that much difference in the two units. It's the assessment that's different. So you may have to split out or break out the assessments, but the content is pretty similar. We've designed it that way. Will sampling be larger in the first years? We're still looking at that, Tim. I haven't got an answer on the sampling size in the first.
James, no, not a clue. Yeah.
No.
Sorry, what do you mean by 540? So that's the foundation diploma size. 540, sorry, that's guided learning hours.
Yeah, sorry, we do speak in tongues sometimes. Apologies for that in advance.
It's hardly in advance at this stage.
Oh, yeah. I know. It's been one of those days, Tim.
Yeah,
but yeah,
thanks, Ranveer, for clarifying that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm happy to answer any more questions as they come in the chat. I hope we've been as helpful as we can be. Whilst anybody puts any more questions in here, I'm just going to go through. So if you want to ask anything, if you just want to rant or vent, well, maybe venting and ranting might be a good thing to do on the car report. Then you find the link online, you can do that.
Venting to the product manager, questions to the subject advisor. How's that?
There you go. I think that's a fair allocation of resource, don't you? Our email addresses are on there. Okay. So, Ian, I'll come to your question in a minute. So our email addresses are on there, and please please ask us anything. We do know that you haven't got all the answers, and not just all the answers you want, but you haven't got all the answers. So just bear with us, and as soon as we know more about what's happening for a spring submission, we will let you know.
Ranveer's typed a question. So I know, Ranveer, you don't like the way we're throwing GLHs around, but for September 25, the BTEC IT Level 3 diploma and extended diploma remain available for registration. I hope that clarifies it.
Ian, what's the update for the 3 T levels? Okay, for the 3 T levels, we are submitting those middle of next month. We will have the specifications on the website as soon as we get to do so from Hyphates and Qual. If you want the specifications before then, just email me and say in that email, I want to be part of the provider panel, and I will give you a draft version of those 3 T levels if you're not already on the provider panel. And if you're on that provider panel and you're on the call, you're probably going to be sick of my emails over the next month or so, because I'm going to ask you lots of questions.
Well, Ian King's. Yeah. I'm sorry, David. I'm sorry. I didn't mean. I thought you'd paused. Ian King has asked about the AAQ exams. Now,
good question.
Yeah, it's a good question. What we tend to do is one of the exams is available in one of the large units would be available in the first assessment window, and then both in the second. But I'm not sure that we have an answer for it. I'm not sure we know yet. Do you?
No,
it might not be till summer that the first assessment.
The spec, and I can probably, Tim, it's on the spec when the first assessment is. My understanding is for the 360, sorry, for the extended certificate, the first assessment is June and not January.
That's June of the first year of delivery.
Yeah.
Okay. But then subsequently, so Ian, I mean, it's confusing and horrible, I know, but once it's up and running, all 4 units are available in both sessions every year. But for the rollout, there's normally a staggering, isn't there, David? Right?
There is, but they're for these because there's no optionality and everything else. So all those 4 units are available in the first year. Yeah. We're not saying you have to.
Okay. So both of the exam units will be available in the first summer.
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's in the spec. I'm fairly certain
Okay,
I got that right.
great, great.
Because I remember writing that in the spec at one point.
Okay.
Okay, we got some questions. Sorry, Tim, I'm new to BTEC. Well, right. Okay. So if we register the learners for 727 if needed, could we drop down to 360? You can only.
Great question.
That's a really good question. You can only.
We
do that.
want to ask. We're going to be banging tables to try and make that happen, but
Get it done before July is our advice, isn't it, Tim?
well, you can't drop down until you know you need to drop down, right?
I know. It's something we will discuss internally and see what we can do with. Okay.
What's the main difference between the GOF and text that appears? Oh, sorry, GLH. I don't understand the question, James.
I get the question. Don't worry. We have two measures of teaching hours, of qualifications. And we have a guided learning hours and total qualification time. Guided learning hours are the number of hours that you need to teach the unit, and there's guided and the total unit time or total qualification time. For it, unit time is the amount of time that the student will take on that unit, including outside study, and the total qualification time is just the qualification version of that. Does that make sense? Is the cyber unit in the AAQ similar to the one in extended diploma? Yes, we try to keep it as similar as possible. With the internal units, are there windows like there are in level 2 DIT?
No.
There you go. I thought you'd like saying that. If we're planning registering new students on the National Diploma in Computing 710 GLH, I believe we normally do this in first year, we'll be able to move them on to the extended diploma for 26-27.
This is exactly where we recommend you register on extended diploma and drop down. So just do it in the other order.
Yeah, just to be safe.
Phil.
Okay, I hope that's helped. But the itself 3 extended diploma is not available for 26-27. Yeah, I think we've just answered that question, Francis.
Yeah, I think Francis,
yeah, that's the same question. I would strongly suggest you go the other way around for this. Are you saying internal assessments have to be submitted in January and June? No, we're not saying that. You're free to run them when you want as part of the normal standard verification process. Okay, I hope that's helped. What do you think, Tim?
I think I might have confused things because I said all 4 units in. I was thinking of the 4 exams in the current extended diplomas. So my apologies. The internally assessed units run under the BTEC quality assurance process. So you schedule those assessments when it suits you. And then you have standards verification. And there's normally an early May date by which first samples want to be looked at by standards verifiers.
Okay.
Sorry, Julie.
There you go.
I'm not well.
If the assessment is in June, July, do we register for students for the first year, or can we wait for the new AAQ?
Don't understand, Patricia. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, they're not the same qualifications. You'd have to register them for the AAQ. If you're doing a 360, I think you've got to register them for the AAQ.
Yeah, if you took first assessment June, July, but that will be of 26.
Yeah.
June, July 26.
Yeah.
Will be the first assessments for the AAQ, externally assessed units.
Yeah, 2026 for the AAQ. So yeah, you have to register them for the AAQ for that. Yes. They are completely separate qualifications.
Yeah.
Although they got the same content. But I didn't say that. Okay. Okay. I hope this has helped. I hope this has tried to clarify what we can clarify. We all await with bated breath the output of the question review.
That's another great question. I think the N grade for the externally assessed units is going to be kept. Do you know if it's in the spec, David?
I don't know if it's in the spec. I know it's an active conversation at the moment, so I believe that's being discussed. Yeah, that's a good question. Really good
you
question.
Register at the start of a 2-year program, correct? Oh, that's from Victoria. Does AAQ mean they have to pass all units to pass overall?
So, yeah. Akbar, there will be lots of guidance. There with the events. When you get the slides, you'll have links to all of those events. I know you joined late, so you probably missed that bit when I was doing that. Yeah, N grade is still in the AAQ. Thank you to my other colleague online who's been very, very helpful in the background here.
The other interesting thing, there's 3 attempts in total, right, David?
Yeah,
for
that's
external assessments. But that seems strange. Is that burnt into the spec already?
I think it is, yes, from memory. So you will get some specific delivery guides. There are some things going on. You get what you normally get, basically. That makes sense. The major change to Unit 1 Info Systems and Unit 6 Web. It's not massively different, I don't think, from the content I've seen. You know, and I've been involved quite a bit with it. So no, I don't think so. We've tried to make, we understand. When we set out to do this, we know that everything's changing around you, so we didn't want you to change your resources as much as would needed to go to a new qualification, because we want you to keep as much as you can. Are these qualifications pitched at an entry level of a GCSE grade 4 or 5? Well, they're not pitched at anything. They're level 3 qualifications, but I get the question. I think they're accessible to those grades. Go on, Tim. You look confuzzled.
Yeah, Jane asked that we didn't answer the question, do you have to pass all units? And I think the answer is yes.
There's an N grade, so I think there is some level of compensation within there, but I need to check.
Oh, I see. But it's not compensatory in the same way that a level would be, where you could literally fail a unit and still get an A level.
It's not that much, and I am being asked that elsewhere, so yes.
Unless I get that twisted into it, David. I've been asking.
And if you've got any questions on that, just ask me, and I'll take it offline and get back to you. Put it that way. I haven't got the detail to spec up, and as you can imagine, there's a lot going on with these things, so we're just trying to keep in touch. Okay. Right.
Yeah, I think James's question is related to their entry requirements. So it's up to you, right? Every college can decide for themselves where they pitch it.
Yeah. Okay. Any more questions? Anybody got anything else to ask? Please put it in the chat. At this point, we usually have a co-host online to give you a nice survey, but they've not turned up today. So I don't give you a survey saying how unhelpful I've been about not telling you what's going on with reform. Apologies about that. So that's all there. I hope you found this useful. I'm leaving our email addresses on there for a reason, because we want to make this work for you. And you're probably going to have lots of questions on this, even if you've got questions about T-levels. And if you've got questions about T-levels, and I'll be blunt about this, email the bottom email address, not the top one. Yeah. Yeah, trying to help you. Then just email us. Don't be out there for want of asking. We can drop onto Teams calls. We can do all sorts of things to try and help you. Just ask, and we will try and help you as much as we can. We appreciate that things have changed. I hope you've got a bit more knowledge to move forward with.